Well, boys, we're back. Football's back, baby. League One opening weekend predictions. This is going to be a weekly thing for League One at Championship. Obviously, Championship starts next week, but we are going to get straight in there with Luton and Wimbledon opening game at EFL on Friday night, which we are doing a watch-along for, by the way, so I'll be live at 10 to 8 for it. Immersive. So Luton versus Wimbledon first. Last season's playoff winner in League 2 versus relegated from the Championship Luton. Probably the two most contrasting budgets in division going up against each other first game. I don't think Wimbledon could have picked much or an harder game to get going. And despite Luton not being anywhere near finished article yet, you'd expect them to still bring in 5-6 starters easily, really, with the amount of brass that they sat on. I know they're building this new stadium, but the amount of money that they've got and the squad that they've already got, you've got to make Luton heavy favourites, I think, for this league. And I've got them as my title winners because of it, versus Wimbledon, who I think will finish last. So this, to me, is top versus bottom this time next season. I just think Wimbledon are up against it so much here. Maybe it helps me the fact that Luton are quite poor when they're not underdogs. Like, coming into Championship last season after getting relegated from Prem, everybody sort of looked at Luton a little bit differently. And it'll be the same here in League One. Teams will just go to Luton's ground and sit 10 men behind ball at least and just try and soak up pressure. That's exactly what Wimbledon will do. So I don't think it'll be a big scoring game because of it, because I think Wimbledon will be quite tight at back. But I do expect a Luton win. Come on. We're not going to try and be a bit edgy and weird and put some funky scores out. I think Luton win that. Still fairly comfortably, but it won't be a mauling. 2-0 Luton to get us going for the opening game. Next up, 12:30 on Saturday, we have got Cardiff and Peterborough. Another relegated side from last season in Cardiff. Peterborough really poor. They ended up on 51 points. They finished in 18th for a side that normally are just a click of your fingers away from getting about 85 points and 100 goals. You know what I mean? Peterborough sort and cold all the time. It's not a new thing for Peterborough to lose all the players as well. That is just a consistent theme, as is with a lot of teams in fairness. But they've not got fees for a great deal of the better ones as well. So they've missed out on a lot of money. The lads that they have brought in are obviously of the younger age demographic as always. And going to Cardiff first game, who've still got majority of the Championship side anyway. They've not sold anyone yet apart from O'Dowda. This has real potential to be men against boys, literally. And I think Cardiff could absolutely annihilate them first game. I do think it'll give Cardiff a false sense of what this league is, because they will inevitably lose players as winter goes on. And Peterborough are going to be one of the easiest sides to play against, I would think. If you're half decent on press, you're going to score a fair few goals against Peterborough. They conceded 81 last season for a reason. I think Cardiff, with Salic up front, is going to be licking his lips. He will not believe what's in front of him. When he comes from Championship, where he scored a lot of goals anyway, his goal per game were really good, to coming up against that Peterborough defence, he's going to think he's in the wrong place, isn't it? It'll be heaven for him. I think Cardiff will put a few past him. I always do think Peterborough score. And Cardiff, they are going to be a bit like, I wonder what crowd's like actually, but I think they'll be quite nervy, quite edgy with it being first game in League One. A division that you just expect to destroy normally, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I think Peterborough get 1, but Cardiff get 4. I will go for a big old scoreline for first game for Cardiff and Peterborough. Blackpool and Stevenage next is the complete opposite. I think this will be quite a low scorer. And I always said that with Stevenage anyway, because they are hard to break down. They are. It's become like a bit of a running joke, this, that I consistently say that about Stevenage. But if it's consistently true, I will consistently say it. They are very good defensively. The personnel that they've got at back, a top draw. I do think they've obviously downgraded in keeper department from Cooper, who on loan at QPR has gone to Barnsley. The one that they've brought in, I'm not overly convinced on, really. And I do think they will offer a bit more going forward this season with some of the players they brought in, like that Kem Campbell, Phoenix Patterson from Fleetwood as well. Like, decent options going forward in this division. But Blackpool have made some good additions, and I think, for the most part, Blackpool at home will make light work of some of the smaller, lesser sides in this division. Not going to be a humongous scoreline again, and I genuinely won't be that surprised with a draw here, but I will probably go with a narrow Blackpool win to start 2-1. Steve Bruce has been about forever. They've got an odd bit of quality at squad, Blackpool. The general level fruit defence is quite good, and they should be alright there. But I do think Stevenage will be an hard game for most sides in this division. It's not some pushover team, this, just because they're a smaller side. They'll be an hard game, but I do think Blackpool will win 2-1 first game. Bradford and Wycombe next. I feel like people are getting a bit lost with Bradford, just looking at badge and size at club. But there's a lot of big clubs in this division. It doesn't mean that they just automatically win every game, especially when they're coming up from League 2 and have had League 2 revenue for about, 6 years, something like that. They're coming up into not an easy league. It is not the same League 1 that Bradford left. I know they left through back door, so it can't have been easy in first place anyway. But this is not what League 1 used to be. It is an hard division to get out of it, and it's an hard division to be near top in when you've been in League 2 for that long. Bradford are a big club, But Wycombe are a very small one and have got twice the team that Bradford have got. The one thing that I do think will help Bradford this season, though, at home, I think they'll be very good. I do think they will be tough to go and beat at their place. Defensively, I think they'll be good at home. The atmosphere is obviously going to be nuts at their place. When they've been like dwelling in basement for that long, they are going to come out and be quite excited, aren't they? And Wycombe, with Mike Dodds in charge, I just won't give any credit ever. They've got a very good team. They've got Cornet stood up front. It would have been the best player in League Two probably ever, like based on last season. So it's a different kettle of fish to what Bradford have been playing recently when you've got Cornet coming up against your first game. It is a tough test for defence to deal with. And I do think Wycombe will score because of it. I would back Wycombe for a goal most of the time, even though Mike Dodds and the football is horrendous. But I would back them for a goal with personnel that they've got. But I quite fancy Bradford, first game. I really do. I think they're going to be well up for it. With it being the first game back, I think atmosphere is going to be nuts. I think Wycombe could crumble a little bit under it. I will go and narrow 2-1 Bradford win there. I'm fancying them. Next up, Burton and Mansfield. I was just thinking then, I've not put a single draw yet. And then this has come up on my screen. So, I think that's made my mind up for me straight away. I quite like both these chances. People are looking at them as two of the smaller sides in this division, which they are, and immediately just sticking them in bottom four. Which I think is wrong, especially from Mansfield perspective. They have made some good incomings. I know they've lost a little bit going forward with Lee Gregory like being injured / not being there anymore. But their incomings, I do like. Same as Burton. Burton spent a lot of money last season. Or they had a lot of incomings and were really, really poor at start to the season because of it. But as it went on, Burton pulled off one of the best escapes we'll probably ever see. It didn't get talked about as much because it's Burton that did it. You know what I mean? If it was some bigger side that did it, they'd be going on about it for the rest of the time. But they performed really good. They were a top half side for the second half of the season. Trying to transition that when you've had a couple months off and it's pre-season, nobody's that asked. Trying to go from such high intense situations there to then not a lot going on to straight back into it again is hard to carry that momentum through. So I don't think they're going to come into it all guns blazing, just win first 10 games, you know what I mean? I do think they will still struggle and be like bottom 8-ish, like some sort of relegation battle down at bottom. But they're no mugs, Burton. They've got a lot of players with a lot of experience, same as Mansfield, and two good managers, especially Clough. Like, Clough is probably Mansfield's biggest asset. And the reason why they've done so well over recent years anyway. There's no pushovers in this league. And I think some of the bigger sides are looking at teams like Burton and Mansfield and thinking it's going to be a walk in park. And I completely disagree. I think they'll probably cancel each other out defensively and with the odd bit of quality that they've both got throughout team. I will go with one apiece for Burton Mansfield first game. Donny and Exeter next. Oh, that's a tough one. I'd say that's probably the toughest one that I have had so far. Obviously, Donny are coming up as title winners. It weren't the biggest points tally ever, and I think it was a fairly weak League Two when you look at the points tally of the three that have come up. It were quite low, but Donny have still got the odd bit of absolute quality that someone like Exeter respectfully just simply has not got. And Exeter finished 16th last season. They were well away from it, but the performances, I've said this before, they were getting good points, and that's literally all that matters. If they play crap against Donny and win, no one is going to care. But you can't get away with that forever. And I think Exeter rode the luck a lot last season, especially towards the back end of the season. And Donny coming up with a lot of momentum and a very good manager in Grant McCann. And the odd bit of quality that they have got, like Luke Molyneux, like Jay McGrath. These type of boys are players that Exeter just don't really have. The keeper's probably the strongest suited player to Exeter, Whitworth on loan from Palace, who they've got in for a second year. And I do think Donny will probably be in the same sort of position that Exeter were last season, in and around the 55-60 point mark. Oh, it's a toughie. It is a toughie, that. I'll probably go 1-0 to Donny. I think they'll focus heavily on trying to be quite sturdy and hard to break down. And Exeter, I really worry about going forward. I don't think they've got loads and loads of goals in them. They scored 49 last season. It were one of the lowest. I know they finished 16th anyway, but it were one of the lowest goal tallies. Defensively, they're not the worst ever, and that's why I've only gone 1-0, but I do think Donny could have them first game. Huddersfield versus Leyton Orient. Now, this is quite a big game, looking at it just on the surface of it. Leyton Orient have had quite a good pre-season, scoring a lot of goals. I know it is only pre-season, so who cares? But they drew with Watford. They bet Tottenham's kids. They scored 4 past Ebbsfleet. They put 10 past Welling. They put 5 past a team called Brentwood. I know we're talking about little semi-pro sides here, but you can only beat what's in front of you. And going forward, they look quite free-flowing with the amount of players that they've brought in. Now, they are undoubtedly weaker than last season. Like, the players that they've lost, Galbraith, Kelman, Donnelly, all these type of boys, they've lost effectively all the best players from last season. I think there's about 3 left that started in playing final against Charlton that are still there now. So it's a complete new squad, but Richard Wellens is a great manager, and the players that they've brought in, again, top draw, especially on frees. Josh Karoma, Aaron Connolly, Dimitri Mitchell and threes. Top draw. They've bought El Mazzuni from Oxford for a record fee. They've got Michael Craig in from Reading. Tyreek Bakerson's a bit like... The Adaramola from Palace, the kid that were at loan at Bradford last season. They've made some good signings, but I do think it's a lot at once going up against an Huddersfield side that have done the exact same thing with a new manager and a full new team, but the personnel at Huddersfield, plus the home factor, is just a different level to that of what Leyton Orient have got. The budgets are very clear to see here, with two sides that have gone through a lot of change over the last couple of months this summer. And Leyton Orient signings are good, and I think they'll probably score, but Huddersfield's defence is complete different gravy to what it were last season. Going forward, they've added Alfie May and Marcus Harness to Joe Taylor and Dion Charles and these type of boys. They've got so much quality, Huddersfield. The depth is incredible. We're looking at one of the best squads in division easily. I do think it's a very good game and a tough test for both sides to start, but I would back Huddersfield to put a fair few in here, and I will go with a 3-1 because of it. I do think Leyton Orient will come good, and they'll definitely be in and around playoff sort of picture between probably 5th and 12th, in and around there, that sort of range. But I do think they will lose first game to a very strong Huddersfield side. Next up is Lincoln and Reading. That's tough. Very much toss of a coin here because Lincoln have lost the full defence effectively and the best player at middle at Park. It's, again, a lot of change in important positions and the strongest positions that Lincoln have had, because defensively you would say that is probably the strong point that they've had since they've been promoted from League 2 and they've been in and around top half at majority of time since being back up here. They've never got in playoffs since coming back up, I don't think, unless memory fails. Or did they get in once? Early do it. Anyway, regardless, defensively that is the strongest point. Going up against a Reading team that have put all the crap behind them now and are looking to move forward. But they are losing a lot of the good players as well. Nibs is likely to go to Charlton. It's not been done at time of me recording this. But it's another one of the best players gone. To add to what is probably their strongest area from last season in maybe defensive side of things. And they've lost Bindon, who went to Forest anyway and rolled on loan. And Bengo as well has gone to QPR on a free. There's a lot of change at once. Mainly Reading here. I would say that Lincoln are probably the more of the settled side here. Like, same manager. Majority at same-ish core, apart from, like, defensive side of things. Some of the other players have been there for a bit now. But Reading excite me. I can't put my finger on it. I like some of the signings a lot. Like, the Powdy O'Connor thing coming from Lincoln is really, really good. But then Marco Mahoney on loan is, like, top draw. Finley Burns will be good. I might go for my first away win here. But Reading excite me, and I just can't ignore that. I can't ignore that feeling that I've got, which is that Reading are going to win 2-1 against Lincoln. Oh, God. Plymouth first Barnsley. Probably one of the hardest games that we could have had. I'm a Barnsley fan in case you know. Probably one of the hardest games that we could have had to start the season. But I'm glad that we're just getting it out of way. Plymouth are in quite a mess, and it's not the sort of Plymouth side that I thought we were going to be coming up against. I know they've still got time from now to start to get a couple of signings in. They might have a new team by the time we get there with the amount of money that they sat on, really, because they made a lot of sales for a lot of money. But a lot of the standouts from last season for Plymouth, because I did think they were really good at second half from January onwards, and I was worried about playing that first game. But they've lost the manager. They've lost the majority of the better players that they've actually had anyway in Championship, which is why they've all gone back to Championship or to other top divisions elsewhere. But they are undoubtedly a good side, regardless. The players that they've brought in, some of them are much better than others, but I'm happy that we're playing them now because I seriously think we could go and nick something. I'm not saying that we're going to go and win, because Barnsley are far from finished article as well. At the minute, we haven't even got a right back. Do you know what I mean? We've got incredible depth in middle at Park. We're going to score a lot of goals going forward, but the defensive issues are still there from last season, which is why we finished in as lowest position in decades anyway. But we're cleverly coming in, so a new manager and effectively a full new team against a very high-pressing Barnsley side, and Tom Cleverley likes his playing out from back and stuff like this, doesn't he? I do think we will take advantage of what is a lot of change at once, and I do think we will score a couple. I'll just say that one. My original thought process when I was looking at like our early games, I thought we'd lose this, but looking at it now, I do think we could nick something. The problem is obviously the defence for Barnsley, but I do think that could be an issue for Plymouth as well in first game, coming up against the press that we're going to go with. It's a completely different Barnsley side and more our style, because we've always been like a young side that likes to be on front foot and just chuck 6 men at you running as fast as they can, 90 minutes all the time. And I do think we'll get a point. I will go first game, Plymouth-Barnsley, for a 2-2. I will go with Desmond, a score draw to get us going. And I would take that right now. Rotherham and Port Vale next. Now, if you've not seen my League One predictions, I'll give 3 seconds to pause. I've got Rotherham getting relegated and Port Vale staying up. So immediately you would imagine that I'm going to say Port Vale win. But I don't think it will just be that easy. Rotherham, I do think, are in a mess. And I know, speaking about the pre-season side of things with Leyton Orient, and that it does generally just mean nothing. It is a kickabout. Even at Sunday League level, anybody that's ever played, ever, at any level throughout Pyramid, knows that a friendly is just a kickabout. You're just trying to get fit. You're trying to work on certain things, definitely. But it is a kickabout to build your match fitness up. And you're not going home kicking your sen if you've lost. So it means no. But I watched them against Sheffield United, and I can't unsee what my eyes were unfortunately bared witness to. Because Rotherham looked awful. Absolutely awful. They had no patterns of play at all. And like I've said, it means no. But you're at least looking for a little bit of something. Some sort of patterns of play, some sort of identity, which I don't think Rotherham have, other than relying on the odd and very rare bit of quality that they have got, such as Hugo, Nombe. But I think gaining to them players is going to be a problem. They've got minimal creative spark throughout the team, personally, from outside looking in. And I think Port Vale, with the experience that they've got coming into this, and again, sort of the goal threat that they've got up front with Tolaj, they've got Byers in middle, they've got Darren Moore, who's a very, very good, experienced footballer and manager. I'll go with a draw. I'm tempted with a 0-0, but I'll go with a 1 apiece for Rotherham versus Port Vale first game. I'm trying to find a colour for Northampton, but there's no browns, so I'm going to have to put pink. Wigan versus Northampton. Again, I think this is quite a low-scoring one on surface of it. Wigan have brought in a lot of attacking-minded players this transfer window to address what has been the poorest area on pitch for him for ages now. Lowe's a great manager, and I do like some of the players that they've brought in. I think Costello would be an absolute banker to score against Northampton here, given that they were on loan here for second half of the season at Northampton, were really good, and then Wigan have bought him. Northampton have got the bits of quality that I do think can keep him up, but this game might prove a little bit too much for him, maybe. I do think Wigan are building something quite quietly. That, again, definitely lacking in the creative aspect. It's all right having the strikers up front now to sort of put it away if you get it to him. But getting it to him is still a major problem. It's such a hole that they've not fixed. I do think the football will still be very poor to watch from probably both of these sides. Northampton is so hot and cold, it's ridiculous. But I would probably give Wigan a win here. In a low scorer, defensively Wigan are obviously quite solid with tickling net. I'll go here 1-0 to Wigan first game there. And then the final game at 12 o'clock on Sunday, I'll be doing a live for this as well. I've got football fever, baby. Is Stockport versus Bolton in the Manchester Derby, or Greater Manchester, or North West, whatever Bolton are classed as. Some big games, you know, first week. Like Huddersfield, Leyton, Orient, Plymouth, Barnsley, Stockport, Bolton, Rotherham, Port Vale's quite a big one as well. Like Donny, Exeter. There's a lot of big games here. But this is undoubtedly, I would say, the biggest one. Local derby. Two sides that are both going to fancy the chances at the tippity top of this division. Both had very good transfer windows, good squads, great managers. This could be ultimate showdown for the first week. And I ain't got a clue what to say. I have no idea what I predict here. Absolutely no idea. Stockport, I'm slightly leaning to Stockport, and I'll tell you why. The home form for them last season were just immaculate. And despite Bolton bringing in the sort of players that they needed to bring in, they got rid of a lot of dead legs, really. A lot of the older boys, a lot of the older lads that are on big wages, bigger names, that they've got rid of a lot of them. And they're bringing in young, hungry, energetic fellas. And the wingers, I do think, will be really up for it in this first game against Stockport's defence. But Stockport's defence, simultaneously, is very good. They brought in a Finland international that scored against England last season. They've got a Luwu from title-winning Donny, and they've got Ethan Pye. We know Norwood and Bateson in front. Come on. It's a very good core to defence that for Stockport. Oh, God, I'm thinking 2-1 Stockport, you know. I'm thinking 2-1 Stockport. Coming into this, I did genuinely think I was going to fancy Bolton. But if they get Nathan Love at line Stockport for Saturday, with Mothersill as well, and the other sort of players that I've just mentioned, they are going to be a force, Stockport. I know Bolton will as well, and I do think both of these will be playoff sides, really, at least. But I will edge it 2-1 Stockport to start season. That's a very hard game, though. But, boys, that's it. Absolute pleasure. Love you all. Kiss. Make sure you like, subscribe if you do enjoy. This will be a regular thing. Like I've said, there'll be Championship and League One regularly on this channel. If any of you are about on Friday or Sunday, then I'll be doing a live, obviously, for the Luton Wimbledon game and then this. But if not, I'll see you in a bit. Goodbye. Kiss.
Say I'm a man, yes, I'm a mucker. I think of me saying as a right good looker. I say up that. Show us bit it.